So if you just start by standing up, we're just going to stand up. Now, I know normally you'd sit down, have a bit of quietness first, but I think I'd like to get you going this afternoon. So we're going to stand up. If you find that standing up's difficult, and I'm talking to those that have got hip issues, I'm talking to my own mum who's got a hip issue and 90 years old and still doing yoga, but with modifications. You can use a chair to hold on to so that you can stand up straight, or you can put your hands against the wall behind you. So just have your feet about hip width apart, feet parallel. That means that your toes turn slightly inwards. You can also have a chair beside you as well. And just feel your body, feel the feet pressing into the floor. Ideally, we do yoga with the feet bare, without socks if possible, but for today, just do whatever feels natural to you. Lift your toes up on each foot one at a time and stretch the toes forwards. And then lift the heel and stretch the heel back one at a time. So you create length through the foot. And also try and spread your toes from the big toe to the little toe. So there's a broadness across the base of the foot as well. And I don't want to say lock the knees because, you know, some people tend to push the knees back quite hard. But feel that the muscles around the knees are really nice and firm. So to do that, you lift your quadricep muscles up. So if you bend down and grab your quadricep muscle just above the kneecap, there's a little ridge. You can probably feel that. There's a bit of a fleshy bit. And pull that up. So that, and then stand up, trying to pull as if you're pulling your tights up or your trousers up. Okay, and that's the contraction of the quadricep muscles, which helps to lift the knees. Okay, and then stretch your arms down by your sides. If you're sitting, you can still do this. You can stretch your arms down, have your feet planted nice firmly on the floor, and sit with a tall spine. Roll your shoulders back. Sorry about the noise, that's the cat scratching the carpet, if you can hear that. Roll the shoulders back, broaden across your chest. So feel as if the collarbones are growing out through the sides of your chest. And take a couple of deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Keep the arms by your sides. Keep those knees nice and firm. Okay, now I didn't tell you about space. Sorry about that, but can you bring the arms out to the sides? Yeah. Try not to knock anything off the walls or anything like that. And stretch across from the top of the shoulder to the wrist. So I'm going to talk to shoulder people. If there's anyone with a shoulder injury, you might like to stay here instead of taking the arms up. But if you're quite mobile there and you haven't got an injured shoulder, take the arms up and stretch up. And lift up as high as you can. If you've got a low ceiling, you can put your palms on the ceiling. If you haven't got a low ceiling, try and stretch to touch the ceiling. Yes, that's it. Try and press the heel of the hand there. I can see one of you with the fingertips on the ceiling, so push the heel of the hand up. Otherwise, keep the palms facing each other. That's it. And now bring the arms out to the sides. Bring the arms all the way down and roll the shoulders back. So that those that have to sit in the chair, you know, you can do exactly the same work, get the same lift up through the spine. So even if when we get ill and we injure ourselves, we can still do our practice. Okay, so let's do that one more time. First of all, stretch the arms down and then extend the arms out to the sides. Feel as if you're stretching from the deltoid to the fingertips. And grip the tricep. This is a tricep muscle. So contract it to the bone of the arm and lengthen your bicep. Now turn the palms towards the ceiling and lift the arms up and stretch up. And feel all the tummy muscles and the waist and the lower back being pulled upwards. Keep the chin slightly elevated. So if you've got a device next to you, in front of you, and it's low, try not to look down at it constantly. Keep the head in line with the ears. All right, and then bring the arms out to the sides and down and roll your shoulders back. Okay, so either stay seated in your chair if you need to or stay standing. Now, those of you that can bring your feet together, bring your legs together. If you need the feet apart for balance, absolutely fine. And again, use the chair, use the wall and roll the shoulders back. So the next arm movement, we're going to bring the arms forwards this time and interlock the fingers. Interlock the fingers. So I'm trying to interlock right to the root of the hands, and the thumbs are touching, and then I'm going to turn my palms forwards like that. Now if you've got very tight fingers, knobbly fingers, whatever, then you can hook the thumbs maybe, okay, or even hold a belt, and then take the arms forwards and bring the arms up. Yes, so arthritic fingers, you have to be careful here not to aggravate too much. So you can either hold a belt or you can just hold the thumbs, hook the thumbs, but try and turn the palms towards the ceiling, away from you. That's it. And lift that tummy up. Good. And now bring the arms down. I forgot to say, if you have, again, the shoulder problems, you can just keep the arms here like that. You don't have to take the arms up at all. Now, I'll just show you this thing, because you might not have seen this before. But you see how I've got my left first finger on top of the right. What we do here is we change the cross so that the other first finger's on top. So it feels very odd to some of you to cross your fingers the other way. And then it's the same pose, but I've just changed which finger's on top first. And that will exercise all the smaller muscles in the wrists and up into the forearm evenly. It's also good for the brain, because you have to think, what am I doing with my fingers? And get used to something different. Try and straighten the elbows, lift your chin, don't forget to breathe, and then bring the arms down and release and roll those shoulders back, roll those shoulders back. Okay, one more thing we'll do with the arms, and then I promise we'll move on from the arms. We're going to see if we can bring the arms back. Now, I can interlock my fingers because I haven't got a shoulder problem, but if you can't interlock your fingers, what you can do, if you have something handy, don't worry if you haven't today, I'm just showing you a few ideas, is you can hold a belt like this and move the arms back. And what this does is it gets rid of the creases in the top of the chest. It stimulates the back of the chest, where the lungs are, it exercises the muscles there and improves that posture again. So if you can interlock your fingers, then do that. Or you could hook your thumbs, or you could hold a belt, or just stretch the arms back. See how far you can stretch the arms back. And try to lift your breastplate up. That's it. Shoulders rolling back, back of the skull in line with the tailbone. Keep those thighs really firm, legs really active. And then release the arms and release the pose. And just give the shoulders a shrug. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on from there, and let's see, I'm looking around at different screens, seeing what you've got. If you've got a chair, can you grab a chair now? We're going to use it for something different than sitting on. If you need to stay sitting, this is fine. I'll show you an alternative in a minute to this. What we're going to do here is a little half forward bend. So you're going to put your hands on the top of a chair, or it could be on a table actually as well. Table's fine. And you're going to step back and stretch your spine out with your legs under your hips. Just be careful not to, make sure it's something that will weight bear. So yeah, just be careful if you're using that ironing board there, that it's not going to fall over. That's what I'd use an ironing board for. I don't use my ironing board for ironing. I use it as a prop. I don't do ironing in this house. Okay, so the feet are turned slightly in and I'm stretching my spine forward. So have a go and see. If you can't bear weight on your hands, if you've got problems with your shoulders, you can just bend forwards from the hips like that with your hands on your hips and just stretch the chin forwards. You can even do that from your chair if you're sitting on your chair. Okay, so have a go, stretch forwards, or put your hands on your hips and stretch forwards and look forwards. Keep the chin moving forwards. And then take a breath in and come up and stand up. That's it. Stretch the arms down. Everyone okay? Yes? All right. So if I was doing it from the chair, for example, I could still do that movement, but go forwards like that, either with the hands on the hips or even stretching the arms forwards so that you get a bit more spinal extension. Okay, so just do that one more time. One more time. Walk yourself out if you can, or just stay there and put your hands on your hips. And then try and keep your ears in line with your upper arms. Press the thighs back, lengthen through the sides of your body. Feel that lovely stretch through the body, through the legs, through the backs of the legs. And then walk forwards and come up and stand up. Well done. Okay, good. So, right, what we'll do now, I'm not sure if my camera's mirroring my reflection. So is that my right if I point that way? Yes, okay, great, it is. All right, so I don't need to change my position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step my feet out a bit wider like that. So the chair is going to be on the right hand side, or the table, whatever you're leaning on is going to be on your right hand side. And we've got the feet facing forwards. We're going to go into some standing poses. So a lot of what we do, and this system of yoga is called Iyengar. Look at that, straight through the legs. Iyengar yoga, based on the teachings of BKS Iyengar. So a lot of what we do is strength building up through the legs. We don't come to the lying down stuff until later on, because we want to try and build up the strength in the legs and then build up the strength through the rest of the body. So we do a lot of standing poses. Okay, but don't worry, you will lie down if you can later on. And the first one, which you're probably very familiar with, because it's very commonly shown in pictures and stuff, is triangle pose, where this leg turns out. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of my mum who's watching this. If you've got a hip problem, you know, a hip displacement, for example, which happens, or you've had a hip replacement, this rotation can be very tricky. So you can just keep your feet facing forwards and just work on extending the arms. Don't bend to the side. Those that can turn the leg out and the foot turns towards the chair, you can go to the side and put your hand on the chair, on the top, or on the chair seat, or on your leg. All right, so giving you lots of options there. All right, so make sure though, there's a bit of detail in this one, I'm afraid, because it's quite complicated. Make sure that your feet start off level with each other, that when you turn your right foot out, that the right heel lines up with the left arch. Okay, so try and have a look at that alignment. And if you feel you're wobbly, put your hands against the wall behind you. Now, some of you can take the hand onto the top of the chair, and some of you can go a bit lower, I can see that, and put your hand on the chair seat. Some of you can put your hand on the leg. So we're going to the right. Try and keep those kneecaps really well lifted. Left hand is on the hip. Roll your left shoulder back, head back, and feel that stretch through the left side of your body, but also through the backs of the legs. Press really strongly into the left foot, and just for a moment, stretch your left arm back, parallel to the floor, palm facing towards the screen. Take a breath in. Lift yourself up, turn your feet, and just walk your feet in towards each other. Okay, so we'll do the other side. So it means you've got to move that chair over, or you can turn yourself around, of course. Okay, so feet wide. And you see, those that are more experienced, you know, you're used to doing this pose, you can go down, you can go down, you can go down, you can eventually go to the floor. But, you know, don't overdo that if you're a beginner. Better to start off small. So turn that left leg out. If this is the bad hip side, you can just keep the arms out to the side and the feet parallel. Don't worry about going to the side. Otherwise, take that left hand onto the chair or onto the chair seat, right hand on the hip, and roll your right shoulder back. That's it. We're going off towards the left, but we're rolling the right shoulder back. Imagine the back of the skull in line with your tailbone. That's it. Hold the leg or hold the chair, and then for the last few seconds, stretch that right arm out to the side, really lengthened from the deltoid to the fingertips like we did at the beginning. Take a breath in, come up, turn the feet, walk the legs back together, and bring the arms down. Okay, so just bring the legs together, stretch the arms down, just double checking. Okay, yes, absolutely, yes, sciatica is a real pain in the bum, isn't it? And sometimes we have to rest. But there are sequences, just to let you know, there are sequences for sciatica in our system. So I can always address that next week. And some of the poses I'm doing today are really good for it. But Yeah, just watch for today. Okay, so triangle pose. Now, all of these poses are called lateral poses, lateral standing poses, and that's what that means is that the front of the body is facing forwards, and we either bend the trunk to the side or we bend a leg to the side. So the second one we're going to do, warrior pose 2, again you've probably seen it in pictures. The thighs turn from inside out, front thighs turn from inside out, which makes the hips grip, the hip socket to grip firmly into the socket. And then you stretch your arms out and you bend your right leg. But important here is that this knee stays over the ankle. Eventually, the thigh goes parallel to the floor. But don't worry if you don't get down all that way. Just make sure the knee doesn't do this and go forwards like that. It puts a lot of pressure on the knee. All right? So start with your legs turned. And again, those that can't turn the leg because of hip problems, you can do a different arm position this time. You can put your hands on your hips and roll your elbows back and lift your chest up. Otherwise, stretch the arms out to the side, bend the right leg towards that right angle. Have a look and see. Make sure that knee is not coming towards me. So push it back so it's vertical on top of the ankle bone. And then stretch that left arm back, but turn your head and look along your right arm. If your arms get tired, put your hands on your hips, but still feel that you're lifting your spine up. Yes. Good, well done. Now press into that left foot, stretch the left arm a bit more and straighten your right leg, come up. Turn the feet to the front. And I forgot to say again, with those that have the balance issues, you can have your chair behind you for this. Oops, sorry, cat. You can have the chair behind you for this and just put your hands on the chair like that as you bend the legs. Quite nice to do it like that. So let's do the second side. Stretch the arms out. Oh, sorry, my camera's going a bit slow there. Turn the left leg completely out, making sure that left heel's in line with the right arch, of course. And now bend your left leg. Keep that right leg straight as you can. I have to tell myself that as well because it tends to bend a bit. And then feel as if you're pressing down the outside edge of your right foot. Look along your left arm, but stretch the right arm back. Keep that chest lifting. Well done. And then straighten the left leg, turn the feet to the front and walk your feet back in and bring the arms down. Give the shoulders a bit of a shrug. And take some deep breaths. Sometimes we forget to breathe when we're doing these poses. We hold the breath. But actually the breathing is a very important part of functioning muscles. So when you hold the breath, the muscles tend to get stuck. So you have to breathe in, and then as you breathe out, you can create that movement. Okay, so I was talking about lateral standing poses, the sideways ones. The turning poses are different, and the first one we're going to do, I'm going to go back to our friendly chair. So you remember we did this one, we did this half forward bend. So this looks a bit similar. We're going to have one foot forwards. So I've got my right foot right underneath the back of the chair. And I'm going to stretch my left leg back like so. So this is a big stretch for that back leg. So if you're a walker, you'll find your calf muscle gets a nice stretch in this one. And then of course, to make it more difficult, we bend forwards and take the hands down onto the chair seat. So let me turn the chair around to make that a bit easier. So you can either be up here, or you can bring your hands down a bit lower or a bit lower, and so on. Okay, so if you're already there, that's fine, carry on. If you're not already there, start with your feet under the chair and step your left leg back and try to keep your left heel, well, you don't have to have the toes facing directly forwards, but try to keep the left hip rolling forward so it matches the right hip. And then stretch the body forwards, or you can stay pretty much upright if you can't bend forwards very well. That's it. Arms straight. Those that can go further, and I can see some of you going down to the floor. Very good. Okay, but try not to hunch your shoulders. So stay up a little bit so you can lengthen the front spine and look forwards. And you might be feeling this in the back of one of your legs more than the other. Yeah, especially if you do a lot of walking. Okay, and then come up and stand up. Just stand with your feet together, stand up. So when you take your hands down, let me just show you this first before we do the second side. So I've got my hands on the chair seat. Don't have too much weight on the hands. The weight should go back towards the legs. So actually your hands should be quite free. All right. You stretch your arms, you stretch the hands down, but you shouldn't be leaning all the way into them like that. Okay. So try and feel that that back leg is stretching more. All right. So feet underneath the chair, hands on the chair seat or the chair back if you need to stay upright. Step that right leg back. Try and keep both hips facing forwards. Yeah, you can use an armchair as well. It's lovely to see what people get creative with on Zoom. All kinds of bits of furniture come out. And then if those of you that can go further, that's fine. Go further down, stretch the arms forwards. Otherwise, just stay upright and work on stretching the back of your leg. For me, I can feel that back of that right knee, the ligaments there really stretching open. Good. And then step the right leg forwards and come up and stand up. Okay, and again just stand in this pose which is called Tadasana, mountain pose. So all the poses have Sanskrit names, so you don't have to learn them. No, I can tell you what the names are, but you don't have to learn them. But they sound much nicer than the English names most of the time. So this one, Tadasana, and I really like that word because it means mountain pose. But it's like you're saying, ta-da, here I am. And you know, you have this sort of standing upright pose. And most of the poses, I think 99% of all poses have the word asana on the end, asana. So tad means the mountain and asana means the pose. So tadasana, which is what you're doing now. Okay. All right. So, yes. Now, the final standing pose, you'll be pleased to know this is the last standing pose, is a kind of forward bending standing pose. So if I show you without the chair so you can see it a bit more clearly, you have your feet wide again. This time the toes face forwards, they don't turn in or out. And then you go forwards from your hips and you drop your hands down onto the floor. All right, now obviously some of you might find the floor is a bit too far away. So that's where you can use your chair and you can just put your hands on the chair like that. Even if you're using the chair, if you can go down to the floor, why not just stretch forwards and then rest your forehead on the chair seat like that? Okay, so a couple of different options for you there. Those that can reach the floor, again, make sure that you're not just bending your back to get down. Be light in your fingertips and look forwards. All right, so have a go. So feet, well, as wide as you can manage, toes turned in. We're not going to hold it for a long time. Hinge from your hips. Keep your kneecaps lifting, thighs, quadriceps lifting up. Stretch the arms down or put the hands on your chair seat. You know, don't overtax yourself, especially if it's your first time. And then look forwards. Lengthen your front spine forwards. That's good. Well done. Keep the pressure on the outside edges of your feet. The little toe edge of the foot is almost like the kind of brain of the pose, if you like. So press the outside edges of your feet down. That will lift the inner ankle bones up. All right, and then come up, all of you. So I can see heads bopping up and down. And then walk the feet in and stand up. So one of the other features of Iyengar yoga is our attention to detail. So I might say things that you think, what's she talking about the little toe edge of the foot for? But sometimes, you know, when you're working like that, it just takes your mind off the should we call it pain or effort, intensity, whatever you like. And actually, there are muscles down here, there are pressure points down here on the edge of the foot that are really important for the alignment of your knee joints, your hip joints, etc. So if I say something like that, it's part of our learning process is to really focus on every part of the body in all of the poses. Okay, so we're going to get to now sit on a chair. Can you take your chair and just sit on it? Has everyone got some sort of chair there they can sit on? It can be an armchair, but it's better if it's something with a solid base that you can sit up from Definitely not a sofa where you're lying back on the sofa. And I'm going to sit to the side so you can see my body a bit more clearly. So I'm sitting actually on the front edge of the chair. And I've got my thighs parallel to the floor, my legs, my forelegs, I'm not a horse, my lower legs vertical to the floor. I mean, why do they call it forearms and not four legs? See? Call it forearms, but not four legs, just in horses. Spread your toes out. We're going to do a little twist here. Just take your left arm up in the air, if it will go. If it's a shoulder problem, then keep it down. Turn towards your right side. Hold the right thigh with your left hand and put your right hand behind you. Yeah, either hold the chair like that, put it on the chair seat, or if you can bring it all the way around the back. So you're turning towards your right. I know I'm turning towards my left, but I want to turn to face you. That's it. So you're trying to massage your your spinal muscles, paraspinal muscles. You can drop the hand down now. Drop the hand down, yeah, and turn. It was just you lift the arm up first, and then you turn. And I'm holding the outside edge of my my right leg with my left hand. That's it. Keep your chin up, chest up. Inhale, lift up a bit more, and exhale, turn a little bit more. Good. All right, and then come back to the front and just center yourself. And then you're going to go the other way. So your right arm's going to lift up. You turn towards your left, and you bring that left arm across your right arm across your left knee. You lift up, bring that arm across. If you've got room for the left arm to go back, then do that. If not, just keep it by your side. But I'm using pressure of this arm against the outer knee to help me turn a bit more. Draw the navel back, chest lifting, and turn the head and look over your left shoulder. Don't forget to breathe. And then come back to the front. Okay, so you can either repeat that or, and this is a bit tricky if you're not balancing well, then don't do this next one. This is a bit more for those that can balance. You're going to stand up and do that same twist, but with one foot on the chair. All right, so you have to be careful here. If you have, if you want to try it, then have your fingertips against the wall and keep one hand on the wall when you turn like that. All right, just don't want anyone falling over in this group. So there's a big group and some of you haven't got your videos on. Okay, so just want to make sure you're okay there. So take your right leg up, and those that are not taking their right leg up, you're going to do the same turn, twist and turn. Okay, all right, so those that are standing up, right leg on the chair, now turn so that you take the left arm across the right knee and take your right arm around behind you and turn. Yes, like that. That's it. Good. So we've got a mixture of people doing different things. Well done. Yeah, keep that left foot pressing down. Yes, and lift the whole of the front spine up, all of you. All right, and then you can come down or turn the other way. So those that are using the chair to stand on, your left leg goes up now. Those that are sitting on the chair, you're turning towards your left. Otherwise, bring the right arm across the left knee, everybody. Try and bring your left arm around behind you and turn towards your left side. Press the top of the right thigh back. Lift the sternum bone, lift the chest. Good, and then come back to the front and step down. Okay, good, well done. So back to sitting on our chair. So chairs are great for so many things. This is a special yoga chair. It's a fold-up chair and it has no back in it. So we do lots of things where we sort of step through the chair and step on the chair. Very little to do with actually sitting on the chair. Anyway, it's a very good tool and it's got very good sort of stability as well. So we're going to sit again right on the front edge and we're going to go forwards over the legs. So if you have a back issue where you can't go forwards or there's some kind of impingement, then just do what you can moving forwards like that. Those that can go further, take the arms inside your legs, and you can even reach back and try and hold your chair legs like that, or just rest your hands on the floor. And let the back of your neck release, let your head come down. If you have low blood pressure, keep the head up. You can even have the head on a support. Sometimes we do this with 2 chairs, where we sit on one chair and rest forwards on another chair. But just see what you can manage. You could even go in front of the, I haven't got a sofa to show you because this is my little home studio. I can make a sofa. So if you're interested, this is, you know, we would go forwards like this with the head on the sofa and the arms forwards or the arms down, that kind of thing. So you're still getting the, you know, the stretch and the softening in this lower back, but without pulling on it too much. Especially when you've got low blood pressure, you don't want the head to go down below the heart. Okay, and then come up from there. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to stand up one last time. We are coming to a relaxation pose in a moment, but I wanted to just see if you can do a forward bend, and I've got my feet almost as wide as my yoga mat. So if you're not using a mat, it's about hip width, a little bit wider than hip width actually. Yeah, my yoga mat is wider than my hips, so it's a bit wider than hip width. And I've got my toes turned slightly in, and I'm going to go forwards from here. Now, if you don't bend very well, don't worry, it's not important. You can put your hands on something. If you're able to go down a bit further, you can let your head rest on the chair like that. You could even take some more height. If you've got cushions and something like that, you can put your head on the cushions like that. So find something you can go towards, and then hands on the hips, roll forwards, have your toes turned in, heels out. Let your head come down, rest the head. Take a few deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Feel the backs of the legs spreading. So the muscle fibres at the backs of the legs broaden from inside out. Backs of the knees, the ligaments there stretching. And then stretch the calf muscles down. And let the arms just dangle. If there's too much pressure in the head, then obviously lift the head up and look forwards. All right, and then up you come. And stand up. That pose is called Uttanasana, and it means intense stretch of the whole body. And sometimes when you come up, you feel a bit kind of woozy. So if that happens, just bring your head back down again like that, and the everything should settle down. Okay, now I'm coming on to the nice bit, the relaxation bit. So I've got a couple of options for you here. If you're used to doing yoga and getting up and down from the floor isn't a problem, then you can just lie down on the floor and rest. If you'd like to lie on the floor but rest your legs, and this is nice for sciatica by the way, you can rest your legs on the chair. If getting up and down from the floor is really difficult, then what I'd like you to do, and imagine this is again is a sort of armchair type thing. Is to have your cushion behind you like that, but sit on the edge of your chair and just lie back with your legs straight out like that. Maybe a cushion for your head as well, something like that, so that you can just relax the arms and close the eyes for a few minutes, a couple of minutes. Okay, so different versions for different people. If I have it that way, maybe I can show you. Yeah, like that, so that my head is supported like that. Otherwise, lie on your back with your legs on the chair or your legs on the sofa. or even just your legs flat to the floor. And then relax your arms. So let me show. So if I've got my legs on the chair or my legs straight, it's the same. You relax your legs completely, then you relax your arms. Try and have your arms, so you tuck the shoulders under and you've got your arms away from the sides of your body. And you completely surrender yourself into the floor. Take some deeper breaths in, deeper breaths out. Relax all the muscles in your face. Relax your lower jaw and your tongue, the root of the tongue and the throat. And feel as if even the activity of the brain starts to relax, as if the brain is quietening away from the front of the skull, and the mind is drawn deeper inwards. So then the peace of mind comes, and you can fully rest your nervous system and absorb all the effects of the poses that you've been doing. So then when you're ready to come out, don't be in a rush, and certainly don't, if you're on the floor, roll to your side and come up from the side. If you're sitting up, you can just gently bend the knees and open your eyes and sit up. If you're on the floor, roll to your side and come up from the side. If you can sit on the floor, just sit. If you're sitting in your chair, sit in your chair. And just for the last couple of minutes, bring your palms together in front of the chest, like this, like in a kind of prayer position, really just to contact the hands with the heart. And close the eyes again. And take another 3 deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Feeling that each time you breathe in, the front of the chest lifts, and each time you breathe out, you release any tension, any residual tension in the shoulders and the neck. And on your final exhalation, lower the head towards the hands. And we symbolically here surrender the head to the heart, the intelligence of the head to the wisdom of the heart. And then release the hands and raise the head and open your eyes. Okay, thank you very much everyone. That's the end of your physical practice.